Russian chekist Igor Strelkov-Girkin, who helped the Kremlin to foment war against Ukraine, has finally become sad in a Russian prison. He is sure that the so-called SVO is lost. Strelkov's letter was published by his associates. The Z-patriot assessed the overall situation in Russia as very unimportant. The Russian Federation is suffering defeat both on the battlefield and on the diplomatic front. Our offensive actions in the current format cannot bring victory over the enemy, but the losses they bring are close to irreparable. In addition, there is a general demobilization of public sentiment. This war is not a war is already very boring. The next successes in taking copses, small and large vipers, and city blocks, the battles for which last for 6 months or more, do not inspire anyone anymore, Strelkov wrote. According to him, the Russian public is very much hoping that the new US President Donald Trump will end the war on Moscow's terms. This will not happen, the security officer is sure. A new failure will only increase the discontent of the Russians. Already in the current year of 2025, Strelkov expects NATO troops to appear in Ukraine, as well as Turkey's final transition to Kiev's side in this war. The Kremlin, he is sure, will have to capitulate in order to end the war. They will bend us to a truce on conditions close to capitulation. A vague status for Crimea is the maximum that Trump can offer Moscow under the Kellogg plan. For anything more, the Ukrainian Armed Forces need to be defeated, which has proven beyond their capabilities over the past 3 years, Strelkov wrote. He is also confident that the already obvious defeat in the war against Ukraine will ultimately lead to the overthrow of the Putin regime. Earlier, media reported that Strelkov predicts problems for Russia from prison due to Ukraine and Trump. Strelkov is very unhappy with the prospect of ending the hot war that is being prepared with the mediation of the new US President Donald Trump. For us, the implementation of the plan's provisions is the launch of a catastrophe, and an irreversible catastrophe at that, the Russian security officer wrote. He is sure that in the end, Russia will have to return all occupied territories to Ukraine, including Crimea. Russia has neither strong diplomacy nor serious successes on the battlefield, which means it will have to sit down at the negotiating table with a weak position. The enemy is not broken, has strong reserves and the ability to increase efforts, while we still have not transferred the economy and army to a war footing, Strelkov wrote. Strelkov does not expect any serious changes in the war until spring. We will actively demonstrate our readiness for peace. On the other hand, we will fiercely negotiate behind the scenes, while not allowing Trump to move to open confrontation on the side of Ukraine. At the front, efforts will continue to improve negotiating positions, pushing the Ukrainian Armed Forces out of Donbass. This is an extremely expensive undertaking in terms of human lives and equipment, Strelkov wrote. The Ukrainian Armed Forces, in his opinion, will continue the tactics of active defense. They will slowly retreat from the least convenient and important sections of the front, inflicting heavy losses on the Russian armed forces, and will hold on to the most important sections with all their might. At the same time, the Ukrainians will save their strategic reserves in order, in Strelkov's opinion, to achieve major success on the battlefield already in the spring.
Ukrainian air defense units have shot down a Russian Su-25 close air support aircraft in Toretsk city in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region, press service of the 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on Saturday. Soldiers of the 28th Brigade have destroyed an enemy Su-25. Another Russian attack aircraft has been eliminated on the Toretsk front thanks to our air defense forces, the brigade's statement posted on Telegram reads. Further details are expected to be released later in a video update, the brigade stated. A video has been released showing the aircraft crash to the ground after being struck. This marks the first reported downing of a Russian Su-25 in several months. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Ukrainian soldiers have already destroyed 369 Russian Army aircraft since the beginning of the full-scale war in 2022. The armed forces have also shot down 331 Russian helicopters.
The main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine once again showed how the Russian army abandons its own and then does not even search for those missing in action. Intelligence published an audio recording of the interception on the Telegram channel. There are a lot of missing people. I understand, but they should know what unit they came from and where they went. A Russian resident was indignant. The woman advises her interlocutor to hope for the best, but at the same time is amazed that the command knows nothing about the missing occupiers. You need to know the point where they were, the military unit, and then start from there, the Russian woman reasons. According to a resident of the occupying country, even the commanders of the Russian army's soldiers do not know exactly where the missing soldiers were, and even less where they are, because they are constantly being transferred from unit to unit. They can't really say anything. It's some kind of mess, the woman summed up. Earlier, the National Resistance Center of Ukraine said that Russian military personnel are being forced to desert if they wish to leave the army after their contracts expire. The National Resistance Center of Ukraine learned from residents of temporarily occupied areas in Ukraine that Russian soldiers are compelled to desert, to exit the military, as the Russian command does not release them upon contract completion. Most deserters are those who were not released upon completion of their contracts and were planned to be sent to a meat assault. The National Resistance Center of Ukraine states, currently Russian forces have increased the number of units searching for deserters. Additionally, in Ukrainian territories under occupation, the enemy has intensified the establishment of checkpoints. As reported earlier, Russia has come up with a new way to replenish its army with people from the occupied territories. In particular, detainees facing imprisonment are offered to sign a contract with the Russian army in exchange for avoiding criminal prosecution. In this way, the Kremlin hopes to delay the announcement of mass mobilization. French Mirage 2000 fighters will significantly expand Ukraine's capabilities for using British Storm Shadow missiles. Aviation expert Konstantin Krivolap said this on air at Kyiv 24. He noted that Mirage 2000 will be able to carry Storm Shadow / Scalp, and this will significantly improve the capabilities and quality of use of these missiles by the Air Force. The capabilities of these fighters differ from those of the Su-24. He added that Mirage can also be used to shoot down cruise missiles and shaheeds. You don't need expensive missiles for that. You have guns on board. Now F-16s are hitting shaheeds. They mainly shoot them down with guns. This can be done from light aircraft, but we have a problem with the Defense Ministry's codification there, he added. Regarding how many Mirages Ukraine could receive, the expert noted that we could be talking about a quantity of up to 40 units. The expert believed that Ukraine could receive from 12 to 18, but there could be twice as many of these aircraft in a more or less acceptable condition that could be transferred to the Ukrainian Armed Forces. According to him, the main thing that is needed is to increase the number of Storm Shadow / Scalp, but their number is limited by the capabilities of the manufacturer, which transfers almost everything it produces to Ukraine. The French and British provide us with quite a lot of missiles compared to what they have left, but the Mirages will have no problems with what to hit with, the expert believes. Apparently, Mirage 2000 has already started to perform its work, but we need to wait for official announcements, Krivolap noted. The Mirage 2000 is equipped with two 30mm cannons and can carry air-to-air, air-to-ground, anti-ship and anti-radiation missiles, as well as guided and unguided bombs. Missile ranges vary depending on the version. French jets can carry Mika missiles for air combat, Exocet anti-ship missiles, Scalp / Storm Shadow cruise missiles for strikes on ground targets, AS-35 Armat anti-radiation missiles, and a wide range of bombs. An important point is that the jets received by Ukraine were reportedly modernized to have the option to use Storm Shadow / Scalp, e.g. cruise missiles. France is already providing these long-range missiles for strikes on Russian targets. Ukrainian aviation expert Valery Romanenko pointed out that French Mirage fighter jets would not compete head-to-head with Russian aircraft like MiGs and Su. According to Romanenko, the French jet will be useful as a defensive fighter and can perform some tasks currently assigned to F-16s. Ukrainian aviation expert also reminded that the Mirage 2000 can carry not only long-range Scalp missiles, but also AASM Hammer bombs for frontline strikes.